Hey there guys, this is Dan from GMOO Performance back with another exercise for the exercise library. Today we're going to be talking about full knee CARs, meaning that we're doing the full range of motion. I have another video out of just working on the rotation of the knee CAR where you're just trying to get tibial rotation. This one is going to be the full range of motion. There's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to do the one on the floor first, the one where I'm sitting on the floor, and then there's another one you can do while you are sitting in a chair if maybe getting on the floor is a little bit more difficult for you, or if you don't have the relative hip mobility to be in this position. Okay, so with this one, what we're essentially going to do, right, when it comes to a knee CAR or any sort of CAR, we're trying to get as much motion out of a joint as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our knee into a bent position. I'm going to essentially kind of headlock my leg in place. This will help the thigh from moving around too much because I'll literally have it locked up. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to, first off, just kind of practice that rotation, right? We have internal and external rotation. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold one of them. So I'm going to hold that internal rotation first, right? Making sure that my foot stays up nice and high and that I'm not rotating or kind of bending the ankle laterally. So I don't want my ankle to ever look like this. We're just going to keep that toe up, or the toes up or the foot up real nice and high in dorsiflexion, and then we're going to rotate as far over by rotating that tibia. You should feel that inner hamstring kind of pulling that tibia in, right? And then we're going to try to extend the knee as best we can while keeping that tibia rotated, and then we're going to rotate it out here. The external rotation, do the same thing. Now I would do a set with that movement pattern first, so maybe like 8 to 10 reps of that movement pattern where you are rotating at the bottom, extending, bring it back, rotate at the bottom, extend, bring it back. I would do maybe 8 to 10 repetitions of that, and then I'd switch it up a little bit. So what I would do is I would, once again, pick a rotation, and then I'm going to come up, try to rotate at the top, and then bring it down, same thing, come back up, try to rotate at the top, bring it down. And that's a little bit more difficult. So that would be the next progression of it, right? So if you're beginning, just do the first one where you're rotating at the bottom. A lot easier to rotate while your knee is bent than while your knee is fully extended and in more of a stretch, okay? So you would do the same kind of motion, but in a seated position. I'm gonna show you that in 1 second. Okay, so now I'm in my office chair. You can use any other chair where you're roughly able to get your knee in a 90-degree position and your foot can kind of naturally rest on the ground. You don't want it so high where you can kind of swing them or anything like that. So I'm going to be in a seated position, right? My heel is going to be towards, or it's going to be kind of into the ground and still maintaining contact. But my front foot is going to be elevated off the floor. So once again, I'm trying to pull those toes up, okay? Now, if you find that you don't have a lot of dorsiflexion and you just cannot get those toes up, one, your foot might be too far back, right? Meaning that you can't get the toes up, so you might want to just push that foot a little bit more forward so you can actually have some clearance, okay? Now from here, since it's a little harder to head block my leg in position, I'm just going to use my hands, right, to just kind of come around the thigh, just fingers right underneath the thigh. This also will help you feel those hamstring muscles working a little bit too. So I'm just kind of grasping there, making sure that my thigh does not wiggle left to right. It's just staying in position. And I'm just going to rotate. Right, we're going to do the easier one first, rotating at the bottom. Extend. You'll typically get a little bit more extension out of this because your hip is in more of a flex position. And then we're going to rotate at the bottom, keeping those toes up nice and high. Come up and back, okay? And then we're going to repeat that until we do roughly about 8 to 10 reps or whatever you were prescribed, right? Now the harder version of this one will be trying to rotate at the top. So we're going to show you that one as well. So once again, I'm just going to pick one to start with. I'm going to come up and I'm going to try to rotate that lower leg and then bring it right down. Whew, these are a doozy. Rotating that lower leg, feeling that outer hamstring pull. As that foot comes around, you should feel that outer hamstring. I'm here, rotate in and back in. So the main difference between the easy version and the hard version is just the point of rotation. If you're doing the slightly easier one, just make sure all of that rotation is at the bottom, holding it as you extend the knee, right? Making sure that thigh maintains its positioning. And the harder one is just pick one to start with and then try to rotate into the other one as you get towards the top of the motion. Quite a bit harder to do that one, but if you can progress through the easier one and you get really good at it, try to do the harder one, the second one, so that we can get a little bit more efficient in terms of moving the knee in both a bent and extended position, right? So if you have a history of problems with your knee or your quads, or have a historically tight hamstring, what you want to do is you want to try to incorporate these into your programming so that your knee becomes a lot more functional. Also, if you're the type of person to really hang out with their foot out like that a lot, like you just kind of hang around with your foot, both your feet kind of pointing outward, and maybe your knees knock inward, you might have to work on restoring some of those ranges of motion back into your knee, so that we can have a little bit more of a functional knee and you have just a little bit more capacity and room to work with inside of here. Right? So give this one a shot. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. Otherwise, let me know if there's any other exercises you'd like to see. So make sure to follow and go to gmooperformance.com for more information. Okay? See you guys later. Oh, and gmooapparel.com. Bye-bye.